other things that's going on here. Green Bank's the worst. The roof's all basically, SBA won't give you money for roofs. Unless we're doing something to consolidate or something that we're going around. They won't give us money for roofs.
I think unfortunately that's where we're going to come into trouble. We don't want to do 7th and 8th grade for high school, is what I'm hearing. But I think we might have to look at reconfiguring Green Bank to be a K-5 school, a 6-8 school. If you maybe work it that way, would you get, because we're going to have to reconfigure something if we want SBA money, right? That's why you probably were talking about possibly, we're not going to get any help for high school unless we reconfigure it some way.
But why does that reconfiguration have to separate? I mean, I think, unless I misunderstood Mr. Dean, that if you put together a broad proposal, and within that proposal we show school consolidation, even if it's not the only thing, then as long as we capture everything, this becomes one of those, it's not a kitchen sink proposal, it's a school improvements, and one of the big pictures will be to take one of the ideas that came over here, and move, somehow consolidate, move out of the school, so you've got Hillsborough, Marlington, Middle, and Hillsborough Elementary that they really like. So the fact that Green Bank is 2 schools, we wear 2 hats. I mean, it is 2 schools inside one building. It just happens to be shoved so they have to share again, and we do crazy things with cafeteria. But if that's packaged inside the same thing, if I'm understanding right, that shows a school consolidation at the same time, but it's a bigger package than that, that's okay, is that right?
Well, they look at the size of the number of students that building students. That a lot of their funding is based on how many students you're going to have in this building.
Right.
Because, you know, somebody's making a comment a while ago about Hillsborough, you know, got 7 grade kids in there, and what the cost is to run that school. Well, if we don't change the numbers of these schools, then we've got the same numbers we have now. I'm not sure why they would.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we're shutting down this school. This is my imaginary hand-waving thing.
Gotcha.
And then consolidating schools somehow, but that doesn't mean Green Bank necessarily has to change. It's got the right numbers as long as somewhere in the plan there's a consolidation of schools to somehow get. I mean, it seems like your biggest worry is getting something out of the floodplain here. It seems like we should.
Like I said, that's my number one priority.
Well,
it's not the only part of the puzzle.
if you want to consolidate, then you want to keep Marlington Middle School and Marlington Middle School, and you can do Hillsborough 5th grade, Marlington Elementary School 5th grade. That consolidates 3 schools into 1. And then you consolidate Hillsborough Elementary, Marlington Elementary, and Hillsborough Elementary, and you consolidate the 2. And bigger board office possible.
Why wouldn't you just do a K-6 of that, the elementary, where the middle school is now, close Hillsborough down? Yeah, you're going to eat that million, but in the long run, it's a less, I mean, I don't understand why Hillsborough, as a taxpayer, why it's the golden goose. I don't understand that.
We've had that.
But usually,
I mean, it's the smallest school, but yet I mean, if you consolidate that up there, you got all of Marlington and Hillsborough there. You've got maybe 1 or 2 schools there, but you're closing that school and this school.
Right.
I mean, what we're shooting for is a less amount of buildings, obviously. But again, that still doesn't answer the high school or Green Bank. I mean, they're still going down the hill. So, I mean, how are we fixing that? I don't understand.
If we used your example and we made that a K-6 school, what I mentioned as far as the original proposal, you still have the 7th and 8th grade or something.
Yeah, but why not just build another? I mean, you have to connect those schools together. Why can't you build a K-6 down in the front and leave, or K-5 down in the front, leave 6th, 7th, and 8th up in the building they're at?
I mean, what they would do, if you decide, and we talked about that possibility of campus K school there,
Yeah.
is they would simply just build on where that building, keep them all in the same plant for the safety and nothing else, for the safety reasons. But the comment you made about closing Hillsborough and bringing those kids up there, I've had that many, many times. And the suggestion then they made after that was usually followed up with, put your board office in Hillsborough because it's the best building.
There you go.
I mean, and you still get rid of 2 buildings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think you have to look at those proposals. Yes, sir.
Ron mentioned fuel costs. How much would you save a year if you did both this facility and the board office? It could be used for maintenance and
That's what we've
and
been
the other schools.
preaching for years. But how much is it, Sherry? I think it'd blow your mind. She could probably get those figures for you. She ain't off the top of her head, but you're right. Plus the insurance. Our flood insurance that we pay for these buildings is extremely high too.
And I'm not saying shut Hillsborough, but in Mark's proposal, if you did that with Hillsborough, then there's yet another building you want.
Yes,
Big cost that we use to do these other schools, some of the maintenance that needs to be done, just from that side.
You say the SBA will do 65%, don't you?
on the high school. Well, on a building that if they're not, they will pay you they'll give you 65%. They will fund up to 65% of what it would cost to replace that building, whatever the building is. Wouldn't have to be high school. It could be really about 3%.
I mean, there's still some math there that you have to, there's a lot of money left over. It's on 18 million, 12 million, 20 million.
Look at that.
No, I mean, that's the answer. That's the four-letter word nobody wants to really
Talk
talk
about
about.
well thought out, I mean,
There you go. And it's really, I mean, I think that's really what solves the problem. It fixes things, not, it has to do with what the SBA tells us what we gotta do.
And that's why when I give you the three choices at the end of my presentation, those are the three choices. SBA, depending on the way they tell you, but you have to pay that back, use our money to levy your bond, or not do it at all.
Do
You all
it,
agree, that's not
the top line should not say athletics on it.
Right.
That, you know, and I'm all about athletics, but when you put that at the top line item, you're not gonna get anybody to vote for it. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
I mean, I think that the citizens of Pocahontas County would step up if it was constructed like that. I really do, especially when they're faced with, you know, what you have in Green Bank, it sounds
Yep.
like.
Yep.
You're gonna get a lot of support from that. And you have a lot of teachers who I think can step up and put their vote and encourage people to vote. Because even if you get the SBA money, you're still gonna need 12 million, 8 million, 6 million big screen bank. And I think you need to really think about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with this comment about the camaraderie, posting and other people on the radio station about the levy and in preparation for that, not the calls for that, but in preparation for that, I had conversations with a lot of people who had a lot of concerns about the long list of illegal things. And they basically said to me if capital expenditures is what we need to fix up the building so we keep going and maintain schools in our communities, then we sign on for that. But we won't sign on for the athletics things was an issue. But sort of all these little bitty things like we're going to appeal to these people because they like this and we're going to appeal to those people because they like that. But the big number in there is really the capital money. And so I just support what this guy said. My conversations I had around that.
Let me ask you a question. This is not just for you, it's anybody in the room. If SBA, like I said, the comment they made to me was that they thought it was an easy sell. Okay, to move this building in. If SBA would fund this project, just this project, then if you try to do a levy, you won't have to do it for as much money, because you're going to have one of these things take care of this big thing. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
So you can do a combination.
Oh, yeah, but you can run a levy. I mean, it's kind of run a levy every 5 years. They do bond, they do SBA
So
projects all
you
the
can
time.
apply for SBA to move this school, use the two existing buildings in Hillsborough and Arlington Middle, do their additions, and then you can have a levy election for upgrades at Green Bank and upgrades at high school.
Absolutely.
I think that's why I bring that up. I think that there's, you still have to have a levy. Because you're going to have some $8 million to match.
Yeah, Suzanne just made a really good point. If the county runs a levy, it passes a levy, and they show that the county's trying to help themselves best they can, then they're quicker to give you money to help you with the other projects you want to do. Absolutely.
But you
Yes, ma'am.
write a letter to the Green Bank, it's not bad.
No, it's not. Just for Martha, you want to vote to have their taxes raised to fix Green Bank.
No matter how much we can say Green Bank helped write the post, it's not a fact.
And when you do the bonds, and you can award it, once you have to go, I mean, we all the people, do that first thing, which is like the recovery water cost, with our also friends, they don't understand when the years on. And they have something they don't understand, they're required to implement.
But you know, if you, for instance, if you run a, we're just talking here, spacing some time. If you run a levy for the high school, for example, if you're talking about the high school, that benefits every child in Buckhorn County, because they all go through that high school. So I don't know why everybody wouldn't support trying to make the high school a better place for their students to be.
So why would you do it for this one school? Why would you do it for everything?
Well, because they're saying that the SBA grants are this, don't fix
Well, you
the high school.
can, it's just that you're gonna have to, your levy rate will have to be higher to pay for all the expenses of all the county. I mean, that's everything. And that's an option.
Now, when we're looking, it depends on the amount of what we give to the SBA, it depends on what this school costs to get customers tomorrow. That's our amount, we were looking, hopefully, we could have more of those funds, then have a bring back renovations. We were hoping to combine those two first, that was first priority.
Yes.
When we did the dollar.
Where does transportation factor into this? Because I know it used to be a policy that if you are an elementary student, you were only supposed to be on the bus a certain amount of time, that kind of thing. I mean, I can see, I've always fought for Hillsville because we're on that end of the county, and I can see now that that building is probably in the best shape of all the buildings in the county. Why would you not utilize that building with a new cafeteria, and it has the room and capacity to use it? But I can also see the people at Snowshoe not wanting to travel all the way to Hillsborough.
I'm not even sure that the state will allow us to do that because it is so far. Now, if it's close, you can do a waiver on anything, but it's going to be waiving 30, 45 extra minutes, they're not going to waive it. So, and the SBA will not even consider something that they know the state's not going to approve, because why would you waste your time trying to get a project funded when they know the state's going to turn it down? Yeah.
What is your responsibility, the school system's responsibility for buildings you close? So you close Marlin Middle School, then you still have this school that you're building that you're responsible for. So what financial obligations do you have for that?
I'm not sure I can answer that question. I don't know. I know when you close the school, you have to have all these community hearings and to officially close the building. Then what you have to do with the property, I guess the property belongs to the Board of Education. So they can do with what they choose. They can sell it, they can demolish it, they can rent it. I mean, they can, yes, they
It's
can.
not
there's
free.
some money.
It's not free what you have to do to build.
No.
It's closed.
No.
It's not like there's no cost. Once you close the building, it doesn't sort of disappear. It's still open.
Well, unless you keep it operational. I mean, if you're going to demolish it, like the board office, right here, if we're going to demolish it, it would cost us demolition, which is still cost money. It still costs money to do.
And there is this wellness center here.
Yeah. Good term. It is. Kind of. Yes, ma'am.
Instead of the main grade to the high school, I have to get a phone practice, but I just don't see where that is a working solution, simply because that is I have kids that's already gone through high school. It's a scheduling nightmare there at this point right now to get the classes that they need to graduate and to fit in where they need to be, just to be on their track that they're on. And I think anybody can attest that they're on a professional pathway and they're trying to squeeze in classes. I have a daughter in her senior year trying to take a college English class, that type of thing, to get less personal. But it's just already a scheduling nightmare there. And I also agree with the maturity level with 7th and 8th graders. They don't need to be thrown into that mix that early if we can help them.
Well, and I appreciate that comment. But like I said again, there are a lot of tentacles to this thing as far as, you know, the question about transportation. It comes out about age appropriateness. It talks about, you know, scheduling, teacher certificate, all those things. And right now, what we're trying to decide to do is what to do to fix our facilities in the best way we can. And, you know, I've heard a lot of good comments, stuff that I've not thought about. To be honest with you, I've heard more positive things said about the possibility of levy than I ever expected.
But in the process of fixing our facilities, we are here to educate children. We're putting children in a situation that is not going to benefit them. It doesn't make any difference if the building's standing or are falling down around us. You have got to think, when you all moved to 5th grade to Arlington Elementary, it was moved because they were not responsible enough, mature enough to be placed in the middle school setting. Now we're wanting to take children who are not responsible enough or at a maturity level and place them in a situation that is not good for them. That is something we really need to look at and consider. I know we need to work on this. I'm not saying we don't need to work on this, but we are not going to be doing any justice to the 7th and 8th graders by placing them in the fire zone. And it's one, not safe for them because they're much smaller. And the other one is the sexual issues that they're going to high school with drugs and alcohol. And I mean, that's something we really need to consider.
Here, here.
Are we trying to do this for a building? Buildings, people would fund you to fix the building. The levies would pass if it was worded appropriately. Last time it was worded that we're going to give us the athletics, we're going to move the board office, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It wasn't said we were giving, it was in the public. That was the problem, in the public. You might not word it, okay? I'm just telling you what it was. If you word it in such that it is for the student body, their best interest, you're going to get public support. You're not going to get public support if they think it's going to be down here at the board office or for the teachers. So, getting a building fixed sounds all fine and dandy until 5 years down the line. You look up and say, oh shit, we should have done this. And that's what we're looking at right now. The 5th graders should have never been moved down here to start with. And now we're looking at, we've got more kids in this flood zone. So we really need, I know October 1st is coming. I totally get it. We don't need to rush into something that is going to have severe consequences because of the two things.
I was just going to say, I mean, I agree with you completely on the 7th through 8th graders, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders actually. But I think more importantly, one of the big things I'm hearing from all of this is that I think there are some significant cost savings for operations that we could get out of some of the ideas that have come out on moving schools around, things like that. And when you look at the day-to-day issues that I hear from the school board, I hear from the principals and all, it's how the heck are we going to pay for our teachers? How are we going to do this? How are we going to pay for them? And so I really think taking all these ideas and not rushing into a plan, but spending the next few months putting together a plan that shows not only, here's our idea, lots of community forums to discuss exactly what's going to move, but also really doing like Pete said, looking at how much money we can save just on fuel alone. The bus routes are going to change. Maybe they'll save money, maybe they won't save money. So we got to go pick up all those kids everywhere. But really start looking at those ideas and come back to the community and say, look, you know, here are the benefits, day-to-day benefits that we can get if we make this change or that change. Because me looking at this with little kids in the school and running a facility that has lots and lots of little kids coming up, which is great to see. And knowing that we've got to make it through the system, I worry about the day-to-day. I worry in 5 years, Pocahontas County still going to afford to pay their teachers. And if there's something we can do by making consolidations, by getting a big grant, the big grants like to pay for big things. They don't like to pay for extra teacher salaries or extra bus routes. If there's something we can do that in the long run is going to save the county money, allow us to put our money into teachers and the things the kids really need, that would be fantastic. But I don't think we know enough.
What we have, like Mr. Hall said, we have little money to work with in the budget with our maintenance money. The one thing I want to throw out there, and since I have such a large group, I want to say, even though it has nothing to do with facilities, but when the legislature comes into session in January, we're hearing about these. You all, probably, you may or you may not be aware, there was a law passed a few years ago, several years ago now, that allowed the state to fund teaching positions for sparsely populated counties, like us in Randolph, for example. Most counties are funded based on the number of students they have in their county. Okay, we're funded on 1,400 kids. We have positions in place, people are working in jobs every day based on that formula. The talk is that there's going to be a real push from the legislature to eliminate that policy, that law. If they do, we have 1,070 students in Pocahontas County, and that's all they'll fund us for. So then our budget gets even smaller, because then if we keep all the teachers employed, county money has to be used to make up that difference in those teachers. If you estimate 25 students per classroom, You know, you're talking about 300, or you're talking about 350 kids. You can see what we're talking about as far as the number of teaching positions that the county's going to have to come up with that they're not paying for right now. So we've got major issues to worry about in addition to our facilities. Yes.
And that includes service personnel and administrators as well, right?
It includes everything.
Includes
I mean,
not just teachers, but
they
everybody.
funded, well, we're 13 over on service. We're even on professionals.
But I mean, when we get that funding cut, it doesn't just affect teachers, it affects every employee in the county. It'll
It probably-
affect corrections, it'll
Pardon?
affect transportation, it will
Yeah, it affects
affect
Everything that we have. So
Right.
you can expect the minimum will probably be $500,000 from that.
So that, I mean, that's something that we have to think about real often, is what happens if this does occur? How do we possibly do it?
They have to do more work, like I do.
And we only have national forest running one more year, that's $450,000. That could be another.
Guaranteed. Yeah.